Life outside the cage began to unravel. In 2006, he was arrested for involvement in the biggest cash heist in British history, known as the Securitas Depot robbery. The heist took place on February the 22nd, 2006 at the Securitas Depot in Tonbridge, Kent, England. It was a meticulously planned and executed robbery that left the authorities baffled and the public in awe. The Securitas Depot in Tonbridge was considered to be one of the most secure places in England. It was a fortified building with several high-tech security measures in place. The vault inside the depot was where millions of pounds were stored, waiting to be transferred to banks and businesses across the country. The 2006 Security Depot robbery in Tonbridge, England was the UK's largest cash heist. It began with a kidnapping on the evening of the 21st of February 2006 and ended in the early hours of the 22nd of February. 7 criminals stole almost £53 million. The gang left behind another £154 million because they did not have the means to transport it. The criminals stole £53 million in used and unused sterling notes, the property of the Bank of England. Most of the getaway vehicles were found in the following week, one containing £1.3 million in stolen notes. In raids by Kent police, £9 million was discovered in Welling and £8 million in Southborough. The criminals had carefully studied the layout of the depot and have even managed to obtain a copy of the keys to the vault. On the day of the heist, they entered the depot dressed as police officers and tied up the employees before making their way to the vault. Lee Murray, the alleged mastermind, had fled to Morocco with his friend and accomplice Paul Allen. He was successfully fought extradition to the UK and was imprisoned there for the robbery. Allen was extradited and after a second trial in 2008 was jailed in the UK. Upon his release, he was shot and injured in 2019. By 2016, £32 million remained unrecovered and several suspects were still at large. Murray was stopped by Kent police on the 28th of July 2005 while in his car on a road overlooking the depot, together with 2 unidentified men. As well as being a cage fighter, Murray was also a drug dealer. Hysenaj signed up with the recruitment agency which supplied workers to Medway House. He was first given a job at Royal Victoria Palace Shopping Centre in Royal Tunbridge Wells, and then at the end of 2005 offered work at the depot. Several days before the robbery, Murray went clubbing in London and crashed his yellow Ferrari sports car on the New Kent Road the next morning. Murray fled the scene and was arrested by 4 police officers nearby. He was charged with assault in a case that never came to trial. When he had abandoned his car, he left behind 2 burner phones containing numbers of other gang members and 3 photographs from the club which showed him associating with Allen and Patterson. The police later recovered these items from the impounded car. Murray had accidentally recorded himself on one of the phones talking to Russia about how to carry out the robbery. In the early evening of Tuesday, the 21st of February 2006, Colin Dixon, the depot's manager, was driving home along the A249, a road in Kent, when he was pulled over just outside Stockbury, a village northeast of Maidstone, by what he presumed was an unmarked police car. The Volvo S60 had flashing blue lights in its grille, and one of the 2 uniformed officers came to Dixon's window, asking him to turn off his engine and leave the keys in the ignition. Breaching protocol, Dixon followed the officer's order to step out of his car and to sit on the other car, where he was handcuffed. The 2 men impersonating police officers next drove to Dixon's home in Herne Bay and spoke to Lynn Dixon, telling her that her husband had crashed his car, that she and her son should accompany them to the hospital as quickly as possible. When she got into the car, Lynn Dixon realised it was not a real police car, and the men told her she was being abducted. The entire robbery was filmed on the building's CCTV, and when Kent police later reviewed the footage, they nicknamed this gang member Policeman. Policeman subdued the operator, and without being asked, Dixon pressed the button which opened the gate and allowed the vehicles to enter the yard. The rest of the gang now entered the building. The criminals' faces were hidden by balaclavas, and they were armed with handguns, shotguns, AK-47 assault rifles, and a Scorpion submachine gun. Dixon urged staff to comply with the gang's commands, and 14 workers were tied up. Nobody pressed an alarm. The 7 members of the gang attempted to load metal cages full of banknotes into the lorry and found they were too heavy, so one criminal tried to drive the Lansing Lind powerlifter, and the rest shoved the hostages out the way. The criminals stole just shy of £53 million in used and unused banknotes. Another £154 million would not fit in the lorry, and they had to leave it behind. In total, they took 17 cages and 3 trolleys full of banknotes. The staff workers were left locked inside empty cages, as were Lynn Dixon and her son. No alarm had been set off, and the gang ordered the staff to stay still when they left at 2:44 a.m. At 3:15 a.m, when they were sure the robbers had gone, the staff triggered an alarm which called the police. The police arrived and began the investigation by interviewing the staff and taking their clothes and their DNA profiles. Once inside the vault, Murray and his accomplices loaded £53 million into a waiting truck and a getaway truck. They left behind a few employees who were bound and gagged, along with some fake explosive devices to create confusions by them more time. The entire heist took less than an hour, but it would take years for the authorities to catch up to Lee Murray. As news of the heist spread, it became clear that this was not just the work of one person. The level of planning and execution involved suggested a well-connected criminal mastermind. The police launched an extensive investigation, but it wasn't until a mysterious phone call that they got their first lead. A man claiming to be one of the robbers called the police and told them where they could find the abandoned truck used in the heist. This led to the arrest of several suspects, including former mixed martial arts fighter Lee Murray. On the 25th of June 2006, in a joint operation with Moroccan police, Murray was arrested at a shopping centre in Sousse district of the capital Rabat for suspected involvement in the Securitas depot robbery. Moroccan police said they had to use specialist techniques to arrest the suspects because they were specialists in mixed martial arts and firearms. Kent police said in a statement that they had been tracking Murray for 3 months and would be seeking his extradition from Morocco. There is no treaty between the UK and Morocco, and the process was expected to take months. Later, Moroccan police revealed that Murray had also been charged with possession of hard drugs. On the 27th of June 2006, Kent police confirmed the news of Murray's arrest in Morocco and also stated that over 30 people had now been arrested in conjunction with the investigation. In June 2009, Murray attempted to escape Sale prison. Small sores were found in a place of biscuits in Murray's cell by another prisoner who broke into it. Prison officials believe Murray was planning to cut through the iron bars of his cell with a saw. To make the escape through the small window easier, Murray had lost a significant amount of weight. Murray was in a different cell at the time as punishment for being caught with a laptop computer. Other prisoners in Sale held it against Murray that he was able to use his money to smuggle in items like these, as well as expensive clothes. The fellow prisoner who broke into his cell was doing so to steal some of Murray's belongings. Murray and his accomplices were put on trial in 2008. He was convicted of the £53 million crime in a Moroccan court in June 2010. Kent police said Murray must serve 10 years in jail in Morocco for his involvement. This sentence was then extended to 25 years on the 30th of November 2010 after he was caught attempting to escape for the second time. He now resides in a Moroccan prison and is expected to spend a majority of his life there. The aftermath of the £53 million heist was chaotic. Many of Murray's accomplices were arrested and convicted, but a significant amount of money still remained unaccounted for. Rumours circulated that some of the stolen money had been spent on extravagant parties and expensive cars. After the heist, Murray had fled to Morocco, where he lived as a fugitive for several years. Due to the largest cash heist in history, a new documentary, Catching Lightning, has been documented to tell Murray's story and has received a notable response worldwide. As the director of the movie, Murray had already been through a lot. The Moroccan government had doubled his sentence, so they initially gave him 10-year prison term. There's no parole in Morocco. The £53 million heist by Lee Murray remains one of the most notorious crimes in British history. Murray's story has been the subject of many books, documentaries and even a feature film. In addition to the robbery, the film will also concentrate on Murray's life, including his mixed martial arts career. In March 2023, Showtime announced the airing of their 4-episode docuseries Catching Lightning as part of its original programming for April 2023.